Greetings, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode in our World of Stories series. So this series is a special story time throughout the summer where we're looking at some famous fairy tales or folk tales as we tell them here in the United States, and then looking at the same fairy tales or folk tales as they're told in different countries or cultures. So pretty cool. And so the inspiration for this series is taken from the Arne Thompson Uther Index, a list of thousands of stories from around the world that puts each into a theme under a different number. So it's a pretty cool categorization. Now today we are going to be looking at topic 275, 275A, 275B, and 275C. And if that doesn't mean a lot to you, in normal terms, we're going to be looking at today two stories where we have two race contestants that are unevenly matched. So you might have guessed, our story today to start is The Tortoise and the Hare. So this one is another classic story from the collection of Aesop's fables, which have pretty much made their way into our mainstream American story collective. But they are actually technically from Greece with Aesop. So today we're going back again to our nursery tales around the world. And today we're going to be looking at Greece for our beginning story. Since, like I said, Aesop's fables have pretty much made their way into the mainstream. But then the next story is actually going to be an original Native American story from the United States, where we're looking at a Pueblo story. So pretty cool stuff. So we have the Hare and the Tortoise from Greece. Once, the hare was bragging to all the other animals about how fast he was. "When I run full speed," he boasted, "no one can beat me. I challenge anyone here to race me." All were silent until a small, quiet voice was heard. "I accept your challenge," said the tortoise. "What a good joke!" cried the hare. "I could dance circles around you all the way to the finish line." "Save your boasting until after the race is over," the tortoise replied. "Shall we begin?" And so a course was marked off and the signal was given to begin. The hare dashed out of sight, but soon he stopped, and to show his contempt of the tortoise, he lay down for a nap. The tortoise plodded on and on, never stopping to rest. When the hare awoke from his nap, he saw the tortoise in the distance, just about to cross the finish line. The hare could not get there in time to win. It was the tortoise who was the victor and who had the last word. Slow and steady wins the race. So that's the story like we usually tell it, where the hare is pretty arrogant and decides to waste a bunch of time taking a nap or visiting friends or doing who knows what. And so the tortoise just keeps on going until it's too late for the hare to win. And of course, the phrase "slow and steady wins the race" is pretty common for us in the United States too. But now let's read the story of the Coyote and the Rabbit, a United States story from Native American Pueblo. We have a cottontail rabbit was sitting just inside the door of his house one day when along came a hungry coyote. "What are you thinking, little friend?" the coyote asked the rabbit. "I have just been wondering why some animals have large tails like you, friend Coyote, while others like me have practically no tail. Doesn't your long tail slow you down when you run?" "Not at all," answered the coyote. "I can run faster than any other animal. No one has ever beaten me in a race." "Perhaps you would like to race me then," said the rabbit. "Yes, indeed," answered the coyote. "Let's race to the four corners of the world. The winner of the race shall eat the loser." Sounds like a pretty rough deal for the rabbit. The rabbit agreed. "In 4 days we shall run," he said. The coyote went home happily, thinking about a tasty rabbit dinner. The cottontail quickly sent for all of his relatives from the 4 corners of the world, and together they made plans for the race. When the 4th day came, the coyote appeared at the door to the rabbit's house. "Friend, why should we run and tire ourselves out? Just let me eat you now." "No," said the rabbit. "Let us race to the 4 corners of the world. I will race underground, of course, for I can run faster that way." The 2 runners stood side by side, and then off they ran, the coyote across the mesa, the rabbit down into his burrow. The coyote ran east for many days and saw nothing of the cottontail. But just as he came to the eastern edge of the world, up jumped a rabbit from a hole in the ground. "So, friend Coyote, we've arrived at the same time," cried the rabbit, and he dived into the hole, kicking dirt up into the air. "Aye!" cried the coyote. "I wish I could run under the ground like that, for it seems very easy." He did not know that it was the uncle of the cottontail who had spoken to him. The coyote ran harder, and after many days, he came to the northern edge of the world. As he was about to turn to the west, up sprang a rabbit from a hole just in front of him. "Ha!" shouted the rabbit. "I am still ahead of you." The rabbit disappeared down into the hole, kicking dirt into the face of the astonished coyote. The coyote sped toward the west, but when he reached the western edge of the world, up popped a cottontail. "Slowpoke, slowpoke," the rabbit taunted him. The coyote turned and ran even harder, but when he reached the south, what did he see? Poking out of a hole in the ground was the head of a rabbit. "I've been waiting for you," said the cottontail. This was the cousin of the first rabbit. The coyote half ran and half limped back to the starting point of the race, where that cottontail rabbit was waiting for him, looking calm and refreshed. "Now it is clear," said the rabbit, "that short tails are better for running with than long tails. And even though you are tough, come here, and I will eat you." The coyote turned and ran as fast and as far as he could, with his tail tucked firmly between his legs. Meanwhile, the cottontail and all his relatives had a good laugh at the trick that they had played on the coyote. And that is the story of the coyote and the hare from American Pueblo. Pretty cool story. So we have 2 stories that are pretty similar in a lot of ways, and of course, very different in some ways as well. So share what you noticed that's the same or different about these 2 stories in the comments for your chance to get a secret code for our summer reading program. Right? Pretty easy and pretty fun. So we hope that you enjoyed our stories today, and we hope that we'll see you next time for another fun story in our World of Stories series.
Hey!